Assalamu alaikum. How are you girls? I hope you are doing well and are going uh, well along with the video lectures. Today in English, we are going to continue our study of the novel Goodbye, Mr. Chips. We will be doing chapter number 2 here today. But before we start, let me ask you, have you gone through the actual text of the first chapter of Goodbye, Mr. Chips? Well, girls, after watching my first video lesson on the novel, I expect you to go through the original text of the chapter and write down questions and their answers and attempt exercise on word synonym. It is very important. Now, coming back to today's lesson, Goodbye, Mr. Chips by James Hilton, a novella written in earlier 20th century. Chapter number 2. Here on this slide, you could see the main points of this chapter. The first point is Brookfield. Now, in this chapter, the writer has given an introduction of Brookfield School. We are told that Brookfield School was situated behind a line of ancient elms, and it looked rusted under its autumn mantle of creeper. The school building was centered upon a quadrangle, and it consisted of a group of 18th century buildings. Regarding the establishment of the school, we are told that this school was set up during the reign of Queen Elizabeth as a grammar school. So remember, in the previous chapter, Mr. Weatherby had told Mr. Chips that Brookfield was an old foundation. Yes, I think you remember. Now, this is the reason that it was established in 16th century. And Chips was giving interview in the 19th century, in 1870. So, Brookfield was indeed an old foundation. It was indeed an old institution. And we are told that it started as a grammar school. And then the school building was rebuilt, and large additions were made to it. And these were done, we are told these were done during the reign of George I. Then the novelist has talked about the luck of Brookfield as a school. He said that with better luck, the school could have been as famous as Harrow, but the school's reputation sometimes went up and sometimes it went down, and at times its luck came to an end, and at other time it went up. So the reputation of the school was not stable. It flickered. At times it was very illustrious, and at another time its reputation almost dwindled to non-existence. Anyways, the writer says that this was a good school of second rank. We are also told about Mr. Weatherby. A mention of Weatherby has been made over here as well, with the context of the reputation of the school. Now, reputation of a school, what are the factors which define that this school is a first rank school and that school is a second rank school or an average school? Well, it is it is the strength of the students, the social background of the student, and most importantly, the result that the school produces. Okay, so this Brookfield School was an average, a mediocre school. Now, Mr. Wahab Weatherby is related to the reputation of the school. Now, we have been told that Mr. Chips had met Weatherby in 1870, and it was Weatherby who had taken the interview of Mr. Chips. And I had also told you in the previous lecture that Weatherby was a legend for Brookfield. Definitely, he was a very competent fellow. That is why the writer over here told us that Weatherby, who had taken up the the headship of Brookfield in 1840, distorted the fortune of Brookfield to greater extent. That to to raise, he tried to improve the reputation of the school, which had gone down. However, with his utmost effort, he was able to restore the reputation of the school as a good second rank school. He could not achieve the first class rating for the school. So, uh, this was the contribution of Mr. Weatherby to Brookfield. With his hard work, he had been able to restore its reputation as a second rank school. Then the second point, students produced by Brookfield. Now, what kind of students were produced by Brookfield? What contribution did Brookfield make to England? Now, Brookfield, we are told, supplied fair samples of history-making men of the age. The students of Brookfield belonged to all walks of life, we are told. It produced judges, members of parliament, colonial administrators, peers, bishops, merchants, manufacturers, professional men, squires, and parsons. So all types of professionals were produced by Brookfield. Okay, so Brookfield, you can, on the basis of the information given over here in this chapter about Brookfield, you can write a very good note on Brookfield or on the studies produced by, or on the question regarding what the type of students produced by Brookfield. Then the chapter also talks about Jeff's dream as a young man. When Jeff joined Brookfield, he was in his 20s. He was a fresh graduate, and he was as ambitious at that time as any young man of his age. His dream regarding his profession was to become a headmaster or a senior master of a first rank school at any rate. But see, Mr. Chips, we are told, had difficulty, had problems, had hurdles on his way to achieve his goal. Those hurdles are also mentioned over here. Mr. Chips tried very hard. He struggled. But after repeated trials and failures, Mr. Chips had to give up this passion of his life. Now, what were those two hurdles? Those two hurdles are the ones which also throw light on the society of Britain at that time. The first hurdle was the average degree, was the average academic qualification of Mr. Chips. We are told that he possessed a mediocre degree. So His degree was average, his academic qualification was just average. That was one of the reasons, and it was a genuine reason. Okay? So the other reason was he had no social or family links or connection. This reason tells us that family connections or the social connections were important over there and even at that time to get a good job. Since Mr. Chips did not have both of these, therefore his ambition to become a headmaster or a senior master SM of a first rank school could not be fulfilled. So Mr. Chips was left with the opportunity, with the only opportunity that was of staying where he was. Mr. Chips accepted his fate. Mr. Chips accepted this decision of destiny. He started to make himself comfortable over there at Brookfield. And the writer tells us that at the age of 40, Mr. Chips was rooted, settled, and quite happy at Brookfield. And at the age of 50, he was the senior member of the staff. He was the don of the staff. And at the age of 60, he achieved what Weatherby had told him he would achieve if he would give his enthusiasm to Brookfield, if he would work with dedication and honesty. Remember the advice given by Mr. Weatherby in chapter number 1 to Mr. Chips? It was, give your enthusiasm to Brookfield and it would return you something. Okay, so at the age of 60, Mr. Chips realized the truth of Mr. Weatherby's words. At the age of 60, he became, what had happened at the age of 60, by the way? He had himself become Brookfield, and you would learn about it more in subsequent chapters. So at the age of 60, Mr. Chips was Brookfield himself. And then, first retirement. Yes, Mr. Chips retired more than once from Brookfield. At the age of 65, he retired from Brookfield in 1913. Okay, and at that time, he was given a farewell, and in that farewell, he was also presented with gifts, with presents. The presents were a check, a writing desk, and a clock. And as Mr. Chips remembered his farewell over there while living at Mrs. Wickett, he recalls many incidents. Mr. Chips' life was full of incidents. It was an active life, and all throughout this novel, you will find Mr. Chips recollecting his past events. Though they are so, in a way, there is no action taking place as such in the novel. It is based on the recollections of Mr. Chips. So, in this chapter, students, you have been introduced with the school Mr. Chips served, the type of students produced by Brookfield School, the dream of Chips as a young man, his finally setting over there in Brookfield, and about his first retirement. I hope you have followed me very good. Now, girls, it is very important that you go through the text of this chapter at home. Okay? because reading of actual text is very important. Now there are many difficult words in this chapter, so please take out your books and I would be giving you the meanings of synonyms of the difficult words. So first word is rampart. Rampart means a large wall built round a town or a parapet. Then the next word is mantle. M-A-N-T-L-E, mantle. Girls, mantle means cover, layer of something which covers the surface. Then quadrangle. Quadrangle means a rectangular courtyard, especially one having buildings on all four sides. A rectangular courtyard. Rectangular courtyard. The next word is foundation. Foundation means an institution, organization. Then illustrious. Found this word on your textbooks? Yes, this word is illustrious. Illustrious means famous. The next word is restore. Restore means to reestablish, to revive. Subsequent. Subsequent, it's a very common word. It means later happening after something else. Later happening after something else. Then ancient. Ancient means old, very old rather, very old. Ancient, very old. Russet. Russet means, its color means reddish brown. Then creeper, russet creeper. Creeper is a plant that grows along the ground or up along the wall. In Urdu we call it bale. Then fen, F-E-N, fen. Fen means marshy. दलदली जिसको कहते हैं, ठीक है? Then dwindle. Dwindle, repetition of Brookfield जो है it sometimes dwindled. Dwindle means reduced, to decrease. Okay? Decline. Decline means to go down. Sprinkling. Sprinkling, very few. Then the next word is conceited. Conceited means proud, arrogant. So you have another word for proud, conceit. Conceited is the word which you have, which is there in your textbook. Then trial. Trial means test, ordeal. Odds. Odds mean circumstances, difficult circumstances. Doyen. Doyen means senior member. Uproarious, noisy, very loud. Then snobbish, arrogant. Now snobbish are usually people who give importance to money and who do not like poor people. They usually use this word in that sense. So it is arrogant or proud. Then epilogue. Epilogue means conclusion, the end. Inadequacy, insufficiency. Insufficiency. I hope you have written down the synonym of all these words. Do prepare them. Okay. Now next, word synonym exercise. Here is a short sample exercise on word synonym. You must attempt it. I'll do it with you over here. The first sentence which I have selected from your textbook, from the text from chapter number 2, is at 50 he was the doyen of the staff. Now, in exams, you would be given a sentence with an underlined word, and you would be given choices like this one, and like I have given over here. 4 choices would be there, and you'll have to select the word from the given choices, which is very much near in meaning to the underlined word. Okay, so you have to select the synonym. Now, join. Join can't be director, it can't be a junior member, it can't be a dean. Yeah, it can be the senior member. So join is senior member. Then the next sentence is Chips was given an uproarious farewell. Uproarious is the underlined word. Choices are unforgettable, sad, noisy, peaceful. So you tell me, what is the right choice? Yes, you're right. It's noisy. It is not unforgettable. It is not sad. It is not even peaceful. It is noisy. Very good. Very well done. It means you are listening to me, huh? Okay. The next sentence is some snobbish people said they had heard of Brookfield. Now, this was said with reference to the repetition of Brookfield in the chapter. Now, some snobbish people said they had heard of Brookfield. The underlined word is snobbish. The choices are common, handsome, proud, audacious. Yes, you're right. We have just done. Done it. It is proud. The next is across the road, behind the rampart of ancient elms, lay Brookfield. Rampart is the underlined word. Elms is the name of trees. It's a kind of a tree, like a large, huge tree. The choices are building, street, footpath, parapet. Yes, it's parapet. It's a protective wall. So with this exercise, and then the last one is left. Sorry, Chips was as ambitious as any other young man. Humble, humble means down to earth. Eager means keen. Intelligent, brilliant. Proud, conceited. So, what is the right choice for him? What is the right synonym for ambitious that could be used over here in this sentence? Eager. Okay, yes, eager. Eager is the right choice. So, Chips was as eager as any other young man. You can say this instead of ambitious. So with this, we come to the end of reading of chapter number 2. Goodbye, Mr. Chips. I hope, girls, you would be reading the text, doing question answers, and word synonyms of this chapter. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much for your time.